So those are the different approaches. Maybe you don't have one specifically, but remember what kind of students you have. Students are active, students are enthusiastic, students are nice most of the time, sometimes not nice. They are noisy, of course. Yeah, they speak. I mean, students speak, but it's our job to find if your strategy, if the activity you are doing in the classroom is attractive to them, maybe the noise might be reduced a little bit, but not definitely, especially with in these days. So students are energetic. So with these characteristics, students are spontaneous. So with these characteristics is where gamification, it's a very good environment to use them. So I am sure you have find different kind of students like these ones. So let's see what kind of games can we use. And I don't know if you have find these the final characteristics. Can't sit still. They want to be up. They normally we use a lot. Sit down. Don't talk. Don't do this. Don't do that. Because these are the characteristics of our students. So taking into account this and considering the approach you use is one of the ways you are going to select the game or the games you are going to be using and to be successful. Okay, let's go with game number 1, right? Okay. Anybody knows what is this kind of game? You can open your microphone or you can chat you can type your answer in the chat box. Anybody? Any idea?
Isn't it when you get like a piece of paper with the name, but you don't see it, and people have to act it out, so you guess the name of the character?
Very good. That's the game, and I am sure you have done it. You have used it. Has been it successful in your class? You consider I can answer if you have used it?
I have used it. I didn't remember the name. But what usual, like, I don't know, or maybe yes, like Eugenio Derbez.
Yes.
What,
yeah,
Eugenio?
for example. Yeah, and yes, I think this is one of the ideas. You have to use in the case of this game characters that are related to them. So for them, it's easier to describe. Don't you agree? Okay, but here, this is the general idea of the game. Trinidad explained it very well, but let's see the mechanics. That's important, the important part. And this is maybe when we get lost. We call steps. How do you plan a game, you as a teacher, first? Well, you remember some of the ideas and you can describe it. But when it comes the time to share it with the students, and okay, Lydia uses it for introducing some vocabulary. They love it. Very good. Thank you very much for sharing, Lydia. Here, I think here is one of the key points. How we introduce the steps to the students. Any ideas? Anyone who shares the ideas? How do you introduce the sequence for the students? You can open your microphone, no problem. Anybody? How you introduce that? The board, you explain
some internet issues. So now you are the host. Sorry.
Okay, no worries, no problem.
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody that wants to share how do you introduce the steps of any game? Not the ones we saw. Any game, how do you do it? You write on the board, you write it on the paper, you explain and do it. You explain and do. Let's go that way, right? Explain and do. Very good. That's one word. Explain, model, and do.
Right, that's good.
So this is my suggestion for the steps you can explain the students to do the game. First, you explain whether it's in Spanish, because remember that I'm going to show you a sequence, and you agree with me that sometimes if we don't give proper instructions, not only for a game, for everything, students get lost. The first suggestion is I agree with teacher Noé that says explain and do. I would add explain, model, and do. So they follow you, what you want them to do. So Lupita says give instructions, then I provide an example, and finally a game can start. Yes, it's explain model and do. My suggestion, not for unification, is give a name to your activity. So when your students link to a specific name, they will know, maestro quiere que haga esto. Para que nos all the explanation this game. I'm not going to read the instruction, just let's see what happens. Instruction number 1, instruction number 3, and so to participate in the game, right? So there are so many rules. Sorry. There are so many rules or steps. Here you are. For that game, charades, or some people pronounce like that. These are the steps I found. Do you think your students can remember all these steps at once? No, it's difficult. So that's a good idea to start one by one, step by step. That's my second suggestion. So first, give a name to your moments. Explain, model, and do. Second, one at a time, step by step. Maybe the first time, even you don't finish or you don't have so many rules in the game. So just start the game, do a very short demonstration, do part of the game, not all the game, because then we start as teachers adding rules. So once you can start 1 or 2 or 3 steps, only that. So when they master this, you add step number 4, then step number 5, then step number 6, so on and so on. So very fun, but if it is not well explained, if it is not well modeled, where it is not successful at the end. So the class become a disaster sometimes, even that you have material, that you have prepared everything, is because maybe the steps were not very, very clear explained, right? So what is gamification? One thing is a game, another thing is gamify, and another concept is gamification. So let's talk about gamification. Gamification involves that you use a lot of games in your class, a lot. So you are gamifying your class. One of the main resources you use in your class is a game or a series of games in order for you to develop the linguistic competences. It means to teach English, right? So let's listen this video. I will ask you a couple of questions at the end. Please let me know if you hear properly.
Lots of people ask me, what's the difference between games and gamification? And while they sound the same, they both have game in them, they're really not the same thing, although there's a lot of overlapping attributes and elements. So let's talk about gamification first, and then we'll talk about game-based learning. So gamification is an umbrella term, basically meaning let's take bits and pieces and parts of games and let's use them in non-game settings. The reason is games have embedded psychological motivators and engagers already in them. So for example, one of the things that motivates people to play games is a sense of progress, right? We move through the game space and we like to see progress. And in fact, we like to see progress outside of games. So if you're going on a journey, you like to see where you are, where you're going. If you're in your career, you like to see where you're going, your progress. So progress is a driver or a motivator in games, and we can take that and use it. The other thing is game complete profiles, part of the social media product. And so what they did is they put a progress bar onto the social media profile, and the more people, the more information that you filled out, the further the progress bar went. That means a gamified element, the progress bar, was used to help drive the activity, which was filling out the social media profile. And this isn't an academic exercise. In fact, the company that did this saw a 30% increase in the number of profile completions. So when you think about gamification, an umbrella term for thinking about psychological elements that drive and engage us, and a lot of those elements are in games, don't think about creating a game. Think about using the elements, bits, and pieces to drive motivation and engagement. Now, if you look at game-based learning, it's different than gamification. Game-based learning is basically an entire system designed around helping you achieve, in this case, a learning goal. So game-based learning is where the activity of playing the game itself teaches the learner what they need to know as they go through the game. So that's really kind of an important thing to think about. Game-based learning has a defined beginning, middle, and end. And to make game-based learning effective, you typically want to have kind of an introduction. This is what I want you to focus on when you look at the game and when you think about playing the game. And then in the middle of the game, you want people, to play the game. And then at the end, you want this debriefing. Gamification typically doesn't have a debriefing, but game-based learning does, because you want to say, okay, let's look at this experience and define that from a learning perspective. You did some things in the game, maybe negotiated, maybe sales skills, maybe learning features and functionality of a product. But now we want to talk about what is the learning outcome. So that's really the difference between gamification, bits, pieces, parts, is not designed to help meet a learning outcome. So that's the difference between gamification and game learning.
Okay, so there were 3 concepts. So here I have one. Okay, I'll give you seconds to read it. So this is the definition from gamification. I'm going to stop sharing. So tell me, you use games, you use gamification, or you use a game-based learning? What do you use when talking about games in your class? Do you only use games? You use gamification, or your approach is a game-based learning? Type it or open your microphone, please. There is no correct answer, of course. So I'm sure you what you use in class. So share it in the chat box or here. Games-based learning. Okay. Teacher Lydia says she uses game-based learning. Okay, any other answer? Use games. So you are using gamification. Es que me acordé que esta regla, que este juego de aquí, de allá. So you are using gamification. You don't take the whole game as it is, as the original version, but you use it. Not only one class, but in several classes. So you are using gamification. You are gaming your class. But if in every class in every semester, every level. It doesn't matter where you teach. You can teach preschool, primary, secondary, preschool, beginners, advanced, but most of the activities are based on games. So you are using a game-based approach, right? So Lupita says, I think that maybe I follow gamification in terms of adding some, yes, that's gamification. You don't use every day, you don't use every class, but you pick some elements, some bytes as the speaker mentioned. Let me share this game with you, right? I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you have seen it. Okay. And here is participation. Otherwise, it's complicated for me to bring it along. All right. Have you seen it? Have you played it? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay. So it's Jeopardy. But this Jeopardy was prepared by a teacher. So the name of this Jeopardy is Fruit and Vegetables, right? So let's start our game. Okay, so Lydia, pick a number. No, pick a number.
13.
Let me. 1 second, please. Yeah. It's very, it has to upload. Okay. So you choose, one moment, because it open everything. Give you the secret. So you choose 13, right? So
Yeah.
when you pick 13,
It opens.
it opens a specific question. I do the question, you answer. Noé, what are these?
I don't know. Creo que
Okay.
veamos. Or
Ok. El maestro siempre espera que los estudiantes digan, they are almonds.
Yeah.
They don't give the full answer, right? So, yeah, y quieren levantar la mano and so on. Okay, let's say almonds. So I click on almonds. Correct. 50 points. Very good. All right. I click on home.
Okay.
And go back, right? Okay, Mairani, pick any other number, please. 21. Yo hubiera escogido 15, es my favorite day porque es el día de quincena.
It's a good one.
Let's see if it works. Yes, a good one. So, 21.
What is
Please,
this?
Mairani. Y Daisy.
Okay, no.
¿Me dejaría seguir? I don't know.
Well, I'm told you. Are you sure?
Very good. Very good. Es que no me acuerdo. Ayúdeme.
Well, probably I tell you the answer.
Yes. Okay. You can say another opportunity.
Okay.
A second chance. You know?
Yes.
You know what I mean? We are playing. It's a game. And okay.
Teacher, or maybe giving them a clue, like for example, popcorn. Like when you go to the movies, it's pop, what?
Very good idea. Okay, I will give you a clue. Estas palabritas, estas frasecitas se llaman connectors. No le estoy diciendo, no, o lo que decía, second opportunity.
No.
What is this?
What is this?
Maybe it is, I'm not sure, but cocoa fruits.
Okay. Amairani, you are the conductor.
Well, are you sure?
Maybe, but coconut fruits or coconut? I'm not sure.
Well, I'm think. Do you remember how names of fruit do we check in the last class? The vocabulary.
I think, I think, yeah.
Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2. Thank you very much for your participation. Amairani, what is the answer? Suponemos que Amairani se la sabe.
Letter B.
Letter B. Okay, let's see. Let's see. 20 points for the house. All right. And I click on home. So do you like the game? Did you enjoy the game? Did I explain the game?
Yes.
It's a very, it's not sophisticated. Ustedes deben ser super buenos en PowerPoint and other movements. This is a PowerPoint presentation. Yes, and it's based on asking and sharing information, right? So you can use it as a presentation topic. You can use it as an assessing. But I was using different kind of rules. I didn't explain you the steps. I just click it. But a good idea, as I said, was explaining, modeling, and then doing, right? So if you're interested in receiving this file because it's prepared, I am not the author. I gave a workshop somewhere else in the country. I don't remember. I think it was in Sinaloa, and the teacher shared it with me, and I like it. But it's a very good example of how we can gamify our class. When is the best moment to use it? This game was prepared when we were online because of the pandemic. But you can use it in your classroom if you have the proper resources, right? Okay, I'm gonna go back to this game later in my presentation. So we were talking about, okay. One moment, please. You are supposed to be seeing, what are you looking at, please? Or adapt it. But I've been in it. But I haven't played it. I haven't practiced it. I don't really know the full mechanics. But I took some elements I can adapt it. And I can create a version of. In the Jeopardy version, if somebody has seen in Jeopardy, what we do is that the party, so depending on the game, is how you select. So it's important to follow these 4 steps. How do you select a game? The game 2. Okay, in a piece of paper that you have, very quickly, I call it categories. I'm going to stop sharing. In a piece of paper, very quickly, I don't see it, so I don't know if you are going to do it. I hope you do it. I'm going to tell you a letter and a number, right? I'm going to tell you a letter and a number. Okay, you have a piece of paper? Okay, are you ready? So when I tell you a letter and a number, you have to write as many words as you can in 10 seconds. Example. I'm going to type my example in the chat box. The letter is S and the number is 3. What words can you find with letter S and 3 letters? Example C. So, any suggestions in the chat box? And the number, I will say it aloud. Go. The letter is 4. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Stop. Okay, how many words you wrote? Javier shared more. Very good. Share your words. You can open your microphone or you can type in the chat box. Words you write. Moon, melt, move. Very good. Anybody else? Okay.
Well, it was mango menu for mindful and I don't remember the other music. I don't have that.
For example, there are 2 rules, right? Start with a letter and only 4 letters to make it. For example, it was M and
4 letters.
4.
Only 4
So
letters.
M,
all right, I got it.
Mine.
Okay.
Right? Math.
Más, much more.
Right. Okay. Another option. Alguien que quiera crear siguiendo este principio puede dictarnos una palabra y una letra, etc. So this is the way you can create, and it has some elements from a game, not all the elements. Or we can do it simple if they are beginners. Sorry. I only give you the letter and you write as many words as can. This exercise is to use as a game because it implies competition. When you set a specific time, you competition. So that's another rule or another characteristics of the games. It implies competition, right? So I call it Game 2, categories. Give a name. You can change the rules, you can modify it, but use it. So students write the words. Write what you remember. Write words you remember with etc., etc., etc. So you adapt it to the level of your students. Easy words, long words, short words, etc. Or reviewing the linguistic resources you have